I think it's real now. I think it's a thing.
Is it a thing?
I think it's a thing. I'm waiting for YouTube to catch us. Come on, YouTube. I believe in you. Hey, I got an ad playing before my own podcast.
Did you?
All right, I'm skipping the ad. Yes.
Excellent.
I had an ad before the podcast that I am hosting. That's what happened right there. This is how YouTube works. That's
All
that.
right.
And
there we go.
yep. Okay. All righty. Hi, everybody. I'm assuming you can hear us because I can hear us. So I am going to jump in and we're going to make this happen. But holy crap, we got a lot going on.
Checkity check. Excellent. Chance, thank you.
Yep.
Glad we can be heard. That's
Good,
the
good.
whole point.
Of a podcast? Really?
Oh,
That's
what
bizarre.
are we doing here?
Yeah. Anyway. All right.
Okay. All right. Nathaniel G, loud and clear from New York. That's awesome. Thank you for jumping on, you guys.
Yeah, it's great stuff. It's great stuff. All right, we're gonna dive right in. Hi, podcast 950. So at the 50 intervals, if you don't remember, welcome back to the podcast. We do a live podcast right now at every 25, but at the 50, we do not only all questions, which all of these have been so far, but we also do all questions, no cars on our car podcast. And you guys have already posted some stuff on Facebook and Instagram to get us started, but I am really excited about this because I never know where these are going to go. So I am bracing myself for madness.
I have a place to jump in already. Guys,
Good.
Thank you
Excellent.
for posting up your questions. Barbara, we see you on there. Thank you for jumping on. Yeah, post up your questions on the chat. We will get to those, but we do have these social media questions from Anthony Zerg on Facebook.
Okay.
Challenges me to go a week without coffee. Why?
Well, okay.
I don't get it. Anthony
all right.
hasn't had one in 9 months, and I am sorry. I feel very badly for you because espresso is the key to my mornings. Todd knows this. When we're out shooting and we, we're trying to get filming for the cars.
Yes.
And I haven't had my coffee yet.
Paul is worthless until he has his coffee. I mean, this is the reason I would like him to do it.
And coffee.
There's got to be a breakfast stop.
It's going to be
okay.
It's going to be a problem. So yeah, that's been really tough. Although I will admit, I didn't start really getting into espresso and good coffee until I was in my 30s, if you can believe it. I really didn't discover espresso and how good Italian coffee really is. But then I did, and now I'm here. So we're good. It's all good.
Happened for
we're
sure.
Safe.
Gonsachi on Instagram, that is, he says, am I still getting evil Todd comments about my goatee? Here's the weirdest thing, and I don't understand this. I mean, we live in a culture where you be you, and yet in the entire nearly 20 years we've done this show, I've gotten consistent comments about my hair or my facial hair. And why anyone cares is utterly beyond me. People are getting somewhat used to it. But the reality is, look, on both of these realities, if my wife didn't like it, neither of these things would be this way. So she wins. So that's really the core of that reality.
I think it was last year when you started sporting the goatee.
Yeah.
And it took me the comments in YouTube to realize that you had grown the goatee.
Because you knew me forever like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I just didn't even notice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Very
right.
bizarre.
I guess whatever.
That's the thing.
So that's good. Let's see. Harvey M on Facebook. His son is a high school senior looking to study and work in industrial design. That is really cool and exciting. What advice would I give him? There are many colleges. I'm not quite sure where in the country you're located, but there's many colleges around the nation that offer an initial program for either high school seniors or people who have not gotten accepted yet. I went to Art Center College of Design, and they've got a great Art Center at Night program, which I did go through. It was fantastic, and it's usually instructed by a lot of the daytime program instructors, the teachers, and they'll help you prep your portfolio in advance for getting into the school, for getting admissions, and it tailors your portfolio. One of the things that really inspired me when I first visited Art Center was a story from one of the guidance counselors that told me a transportation design student was not well off, and they bought crayons and markers and pencils and tore the tops off pizza boxes and sketched their portfolio on the inside unused portion of pizza boxes and submitted that. And you know what? The guidance counselors were impressed because it was different materials, but using what you got, which is what industrial design is all about, teaching you to use found materials, but also understanding the difference between art and design. You've heard me talk about it a lot. Design is 1,000 sketches that you sell for $1 each. A piece of art is something one time, you do one time, and then you sell it for $1,000. But design is all about understanding manufacturing and then being able to put it out there in a visual form that everybody on the planet can understand and that can be made. When those come together, you have sketched and designed a product that can be made for sale. And it's all about creativity in getting there and understanding those two. So like I said, a lot of schools have various programs to help you guide your son's portfolio into the entrance, and definitely visit a few different schools. There's a lot of good ones out there, and really also figure out what direction you want to go, because now there's entertainment design, of course, product design, transportation design. Cars are just big, expensive products. Clothes, eyewear, furniture, our computers, eyewear, it doesn't matter what it is, but I really encourage your son, and send me an email if you have more questions.
Ted Logan, I want to answer your question real quick. He just said you have to go, and the answer is nothing at all. Actually, lawyers is the answer. Here's your question. You said, what's the difference between a cinematographer and a director of photography? Lawyers and credit arguments. Sometimes a director, seriously, sometimes a director, it's the same job. It's the exact same job. Sometimes the director of photography is the cinematographer and vice versa. And literally some directors will argue that they don't want the word director used anywhere else above the line. They are the only director. So they will not allow director of photography to be used because I am the film director. Other directors of photography want to be referred to as cinematographers because they fought to be in the cinematography union and they would prefer that term. It entirely comes down to legal realities and how do you want your credit listed. I'll go you one further. Robert De Niro. He has in his contract a half space between De and Niro. Now, have you ever gotten on a keyboard and figured out how to actually create a half space?
Where is
there? There is no half space key.
What?
But when you are creating a credit, Robert De Niro has a half space between De and Niro. Not a full space, like two different words, a half space.
I had no idea.
So it's more than the letters would be, but it's less than a full space. So what I'm saying is you would not believe the amount of credit stuff that goes on. So director of photography, cinematographer, same person, different credit. We've got a cool super chat going on here too.
Jorge M asks, when we race each other on mountain bikes or on skis, are our styles similarly different to racing each other in other things? I know you're not going to say cars, but you know what? Todd is very much a big mountain and in the trees kind of a skier kind of person.
I love that.
Not slow, not fast, but kind of medium speed through the trees.
Yeah.
Thigh deep,
knee
deep in snow. I've had my experience with trees, and I kind of like to stick to more of the bumps, but I also like using all the runs. But of course, if the runs are full of fresh powder, that makes it all the better. But I do like really using all the runs. But what I usually do is stick to the edges of the runs, and that's where all the snow has been pushed off. So the best powder is always on the edges, kind of next to the trees. And then mountain bikes, Todd can uphill. He's a powerful biker and he can leave people going uphill. It's almost like he's riding a motorized bike.
I take it easy going down though. It's like, you guys go, I'll get at the back because I'm okay.
So we have different specialties. I kind of like some speed going downhill and, put it on full soft suspension and get after it. But yeah, it's really, we're never really racing, but our strengths and weaknesses very much are apparent in both sports. So thanks for the question.
I love the writing questions. Thomas G22 had one earlier on Instagram. I'm going to answer that. I'll come back to others later. But he said, would I recommend writing a book? Any thoughts on writing a sequel or a new book entirely? Thomas, here's the thing. Unless you are a person who is striving to be a writer for a living, then I'm going to say yes, write a book, but only if you do not care where it goes. You're writing it for the purpose of saying you did and getting it done. And you have to release yourself. This is very hard. You have to release yourself from the results because that will steal all of the motivation to do it. It will also steal a lot of the joy of doing it. And then as far as sequel or new book entirely, I'm gonna read into your question because I'm not sure I'm right. Don't write on somebody else's IP. If somebody else has an idea, you're like, oh, you know what I should do? I should write a Star Wars thing. Don't do that. Try to create your own thing. Now, I know there's a lot of fan fiction that goes on. If you're playing around, fan fiction is a thing, but there's only one exception I can really think of, and that is, I hate to bring this up, but anyway, 50 Shades of Grey started as like Twilight fan fiction, and then it became a phenomenon of its own right. Okay, but it started as Twilight fan fiction. Generally, the chances of you writing in someone else's universe and having the chance of that ever becoming something, you have created another barrier for yourself. So I would say create a new thing that is you. Having said that, there's layers of this. The common way to make money as a writer now is you have one book with one character that hits, and then that's the book and character you're going to write for the rest of your writing life. Lee Child that writes the Reacher books, Tom Clancy that wrote the Jack Ryan books. Pick your, well, there's a Housemaid series going on right now. Once you have a hit, the entire book world, your agent, everybody just says, well, you just get to write that the rest of your life because you already have an audience built in, and it's so hard to find an audience. I am the opposite of that. I just want to write something completely different than the last thing I wrote. I'm limiting myself. I admit that I am that way, but you have to, if you have a hit, you have to keep writing that character and keep the hits coming.
Our friend Richard is talking about a time machine. And the question is that we get one use of this time machine to go back to any time or event in the past 100 years. And only for 24 hours, you can observe but not change the event's outcome.
Oof.
Where and when do you go?
Oof.
As soon as I pick something, I know something. I'm going to think of something better.
For sure. Yeah.
I'm going to have to come back to that one.
That's a good one.
Because I'm thinking about various races, historic races. Of course, it comes back to cars, but I guess... but observe, but then you would know things like the JFK assassination.
Yeah.
You would know, you can observe, you can't tell anybody, you can't change it, but then from your observation point, you would know more than maybe somebody else at that particular event. And then you can't do anything about it. Can you talk to other people about it? Can you come back here and say, well, I know what the JFK files say or something?
I'm going to say moon landing. Because I think what a pivotal worldwide event. Because if you go much further back than that, we have trouble making events that are worldwide. And the other problem is that's a time period in which literally it was one of those things where the whole world stopped and watched this thing. And that is so foreign to us now. We don't even all stop and watch the same thing as a country, let alone a world. The moon landing, what a pivotal thing. I that's the first one I can answer with, but there may be others.
86 says, hello from Australia. Thank you very much for tuning in, for watching. We really appreciate it. That is awesome. I'm going to have to keep thinking about that. Moon landing.
You're going to come back. You're going to come back to that. I know you are. Austin, you're asking other writing questions. You're asking about the audio version of Paper Father. It was supposed to be done this year, and then we bought a company. That's what happened there. So it has not. It is not done. Look, I'll tell you. Look, I will publicly call my shot right now. Okay. I am almost done with the audio recording, which means that the editing is next. I'm like 80% done with the audio recording.
Good for you.
Getting close.
That's good.
So I'm proud of that. It's been a fight. But then the editing of it comes next to then do the release. So what I am intending now, since I'm not going to make Christmas, I'm shooting for Father's Day 2025 as a release for that. I will keep you informed. I am working on it. I'm working on the novel behind this one. I have the idea for the one past that. I mean, seriously, I just need to sit and write, which I have plenty of time to do. So they're happening really quickly, but I'll get there. Yeah.
Let's talk about watches. Jason Lynn has a question for me. Am I interested in Japanese watches? Yes, I am. Specifically Japanese movements. And I like that Todd just tuned out. Can you tell?
I'm having water.
He just zoned out. Yeah. I like watches that do spec Japanese movements in them because they are very accurate and reliable. But of course, Swiss movements are the gold standard. They're the Swiss standard. But you know what I'm really interested in is the Grand Seiko. I like Seiko watches, but the Grand Seiko is really for a different level. I mean, they are expensive, but Grand Seiko, when you see one of those, it's a conversation piece that really is a different level of being into watches and movements and the construction. It's so fascinating to me because you have a mechanical device measuring the minutes and seconds of your life. It still blows me away. So for an awesome movement, Grand Seiko watches are really cool. Look those up.
There's a question here. Derek Miller is asking, who's our favorite rapper? And I am quickly out of my depth here, but I will give you two. Okay. One is Young MC. That's old school stuff, right? From the 90s, but I liked almost everything he did. Okay. that is super, easygoing rap by modern standards, but I really like Young MC. And then, you know what? I actually like Eminem a lot. I like Eminem because he has a tendency to do something I don't see a lot otherwise. And that is he breaks words by syllables to find rhymes. So he'll cut a word in half at a syllable because he can rhyme it to the end of the next line that is the end of a word. and he's also super fast. So I find his, I know this sounds weird, his sentence structure to be fascinating, and I like a lot of his songs. So I'm going to go with those two.
I was going to guess Skilo.
We're all thinking that right now. Anyway, yeah.
Skilo.
Oh yeah, we've had fun with that for sure. Yeah.
I'm going way back, and I'm going to say Run DMC because I grew up with Run DMC.
Sure, yeah.
And it's not that they were the best rappers ever. It was that they were so pioneering, and I love that about those guys. But of course, Ice-T, Tone Loc, Too Short, Gucci Crew, 2 Live Crew.
That era, that's very funny.
That whole era, that was my really high school era.
Yeah, that's very funny.
Listen to everything, but Young MC is really good.
I thought his stuff really was great, and he was fast too.
Ice-T for me, like the original OG.
Yeah, before he decided to be an actor. Yeah, I get it. That's very funny.
Exactly.
Yeah, very funny. Ted's asking who does the drone work. A little bit of everybody. I think of the three of us, Chance and Paul and I probably do the majority, even though Paul seconds that quickly after. But on our recent Sierra trip, we had Jordan Schieffer with us, and Jordan's an awesome drone pilot. So that allowed Paul and I to both be in the car the whole time. Chance was shooting all the on the ground stuff. Jordan was doing all the drone whenever we were stopped, and that's some great drone work. He's a heck of a pilot. So that's who does it most of the time. But it is, I mean, frankly, we're all hands on deck all the time. So it's a little bit of everybody.
Ray Lee's got a question for us, saying a lot of people work at jobs because they are good at it, but they are not passionate about it. Have you met anyone like that as an industrial designer or a film editor? I have. And as we've talked about industrial design, it is the design of everyday objects. It can be as amazing as the interior of a custom jet or a yacht, or as mundane as a toothbrush, or any product in between. But as an industrial designer, your job is to design the product for your client to pull the most dollars out of that category, to beat all the other products in that category. But there's so many times that people get bogged down in what they're doing because they lose sight of that, because just another electronic product, how is that going to change the world? How is that going to change my life? I've got a number of different iterations that any one of them would sell fine because of the name. It used to be BlackBerry. All the BlackBerries would sell just fine. An iPhone, it's minimal industrial design, and it's now more about the UX design than industrial design necessarily. But there's plenty of designers who get bogged down, especially in the car industry. I know this is not the car podcast, but if you're talking about the door card for 3 months or a trim piece, and you lose sight of the overall vision about what that product is designed to do. That's why I do like architecture so much, and because interactive spaces change people's thinking. It kind of gets you out of your funk, your daily life, how you view things. And architects that create spaces, or products, certainly it can have that effect. There's been so many standout furniture designers that have created products, and it's so limited edition. Ross Lovegrove and so many others. There's a lot of those named industrial designers, and they're creating individual products. Some want to do products that are en masse. Yves Behar did that for a long time. I heard an interesting thing about Yves Behar. He was an Art Center graduate, and when he was in 8th term, he hired a marketing firm before he even graduated to start marketing him as a designer before he had done any actual projects for clients.
Wow, that's
this
kind
was
of a
through the
moment of
grapevine.
genius.
I
But
cannot
sure.
verify that, but I know there's some truth to it. But then he was suddenly a name designer, and any big project that he had his name attached to, well, it wasn't that the design was so amazing. It was he had the vision and he's executing. So that's what happens to a lot of big time artists. They're not the ones actually producing the art. They are giving Frank Gehry, they're giving the crumpled up paper for the next museum of some sort somewhere on the planet. And, he has his team execute.
Yeah.
So you set the vision, and then that helps keep things fresh. But of course, going to companies and saying, hey, I want to do this product for you. I know I can change your sales. We can, do something and change the perception of your company. That's what keeps designers fresh.
Dak has got a super chat. Thank you so much for that. He said he's going to write in with a car debate soon. We hope that you do. But your question is favorite or several family-friendly podcasts. Honestly, I don't listen to that many. I listen to car ones, but I listen to a couple of ones that cover Hollywood, and they're family friendly, but you've got to want to cover Hollywood. So that's the question mark there. There is a funny one about Hollywood called Martini Shot. They're only about 10 minutes long, and it's a former writer of Cheers He started his career as a writer on Cheers in his 20s, and now he's in his 60s, and he's run all kinds of TV shows. So he's had all kinds of writing experiences. It's family friendly. It's always self-deprecating, and they're only about 10 minutes long. So that's an easily accessible Hollywood one. I listen to other ones that are more intense in the business, so that's not really a thing. There is a comedian named Justin Nickerson, and I just discovered he has a podcast called Don't Make Me Come Back There. And I candidly find it a bit hit or miss, but it's he and his wife, and they're family friendly, and that can be fun if that's your thing. There are a lot of comedy podcasts, but of course they vary in their family friendliness. I don't listen to a ton, so I can't help you a lot, but I appreciate you asking.
Oh, good questions on here.
Yeah, there's tons.
I'm trying to make sure that I don't miss anything on here.
Oh, we will, but it's
We
good
will.
anyway.
If we do, please let us know. Let's see. Anthony G is all in for the pay-to-play attitude, but despises paying for parking. To park in front of a restaurant the other day, and street parking was $43 for 4 hours. Thankfully, weren't paid. Yeah.
Oh.
Pay-to-play attitude. That's all of us driving fast and maybe getting pulled over.
Jorge is calling me out and saying, why would you not want to write on other people's intellectual property? Isn't that the way money gets made? Jorge, let me switch my answer around. You want to get hired to write on somebody else's intellectual property. You want to get hired to write Indiana Jones and Star Wars and Marvel. You want to get hired for that. But if the question is, I'm writing a novel and it's yours, you don't want to write somebody else's property, because if it becomes a hit, they're going to come looking to you for why you don't have the rights to have it. But getting hired to write on somebody else's thing, that's where the money is, and you got hired, and it's great.
Ben Harto asks, our favorite non-car experience that has resulted from HOD ownership.
Ooh.
It's certainly meeting people. I have really decided this is a people business that it happens to use cars, but it's a people business. And I think back over the course of the year, and the people that we have met that we would have otherwise never come in contact with has been amazing. And where that leads, conversations and connections and relationships, that was definitely a really great side benefit. I mean, I kind of knew that we'd meet people, but the relationships and, like I said, just amazing, cool people, and the like-mindedness. So that was pretty awesome.
There are so many questions. I'm scrolling back and forth here, but it's such good stuff.
Favorite national park to visit from Isaiah Smith. Did you answer that already?
I did not. No. No, go for it.
Favorite national park is Arches. Isn't a national park.
Yeah, it is.
State, right?
No, it's national.
That's a national park.
That's a national, yeah.
Arches is my
Arches is up
way
there.
up
That's
there.
really good.
Zion's way up there.
Zion's good, yeah. You're going to list all the ones in Utah, aren't you?
All the ones in Utah.
You know what? Teton is amazing, and Glacier is fantastic.
That's good.
Yeah, those are both really good.
Let's see. Andrew M hasn't hit a live podcast since episode 500. Andrew, thank you for jumping back on. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Colin Cutler is asking, behind the scenes, what gear, software, camera tech has transformed the way you guys film now versus back in the day? Colin,
not cars.
It is seriously, it has completely changed. I'll go this far. When we started this show, all of the outside the car stuff was shot on a camera that had to go on our shoulder that we had to rent for hundreds of dollars a day, because it was a big shoulder mounted camera, and getting the data off the camera and actually dealing with it was a pain. There were no GoPro. I mean, there was like a GoPro 1, which was like a potato camera that was just all fuzz, so you couldn't use that. So we had a camera with a small mini DV tape in it mounted in the car to get our in-car stuff. That was what we used, and it was all pretty marginal. And then we went to a lot of very heavy support gear, big jibs, big tripods, because the gear was all big. The coolest thing that's happened over the course of the show, and Paul was a real pioneer in helping me see this, is that the quality that we could shoot on, we could go with smaller and smaller gear, which was lighter and easier to carry and easy to travel with. And the end result, YouTube end result, looked pretty similar in quality. Now, I'm a geek and I want to have the camera with the best sensor and the best lenses, but ultimately the way most people are watching it, it kind of doesn't matter, especially when people are just shooting it now with their phone. So the fact is, we use everything from iPhones to GoPros to DJI stuff to whatever, to big cameras with nice lenses. We use it all, but even our big camera with nice lenses is essentially a mirrorless that weighs 2-3 pounds. We used to have a DSLR that weighed 4 or 5. Even the mirrorless is half of that weight.
Inside Ollie, the first 911, the 67 911.
We had a
50 years from
huge
911.
DSLR mounted.
It was this
The
car
very
right
first
there.
one. Yeah, for sure.
It was mounted. This huge DSLR was in our face. It was
with a big old. It was a
5D.
It was an old Canon 5D with a big old super wide lens on it. It's amazing how much it's all gotten lighter, and that's the thing I like about it the most.
We have a lot of drinks questions.
Uh-oh.
Anthony G asks if single malt is worth it. What's better, a good blend or a cheap single malt? I'd go with a good blend rather than a cheap single malt, because if you're going to do a single malt, get a really good, expensive single malt. Favorite craft beer from a Utah brewery? Neither of us are beer drinkers. I work for Budweiser, and I just decided, I know that's not the beer standard, but I have tried IPAs. I wasn't a Hefeweizen for a while, but I just decided whiskey wine is for me. And let's see, SMG MP7A1 says, I am a whiskey man. You're right. Are there any cocktails that I gravitate to, whiskey or otherwise? Definitely gin and tonic with Hendrick's Gin. I like that in the summer. Nice, refreshing drink with a slice of lime. And Anthony G, you're right. I like old fashions. That's nice. I'm trying to cover the drinks.
I love it.
And Derek Miller has a question for you. What is the best % of cocoa in chocolate? For a non-alcoholic drink.
Oh, come on. I just have soda or water. We don't get fancy. I rarely even have hot chocolate. But anyway, Edgar, I just wanted to acknowledge your comment here. Thank you, man. You said you think we deserve so much more traffic than we get. Every video shows hours of work. You're right. Every video is hours and hours of work. I'm trying consistently to make it more efficient, but thank you for acknowledging that. I really appreciate it. Tell a friend about especially our road trip films, because we love those so much. People seem to like them, so thank you for that.
I like this live watch discussion. Game Bear is asking if I've heard of Studio Underdog and wasn't my take. Yes, my location is set to United States. What is Studio Underdog? I'm just seeing the movement.
Okay.
Oh, classic styling. Some odd color choices, but I think they're pretty cool. See, I like the classic, timeless look, more of a vintage kind of a look. But the modern watches that are out there, I do appreciate a lot of them. I had another question about watches, and I forget who asked. My apologies. It was my favorite guilty pleasure watch, and I'm going to find who that is.
Andrew's got that question for you. Go for it.
Andrew, thank you. It is Hublot, 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 and they're apparently really just designed for footballers in England, apparently, because if you're a wealthy footballer, you just buy an Hublot or a Breitling or a Panerai or all the brands that we've all heard of. But the Hublots are really cool with the Unico movement, and the ceramics that they're doing is really leading edge from a material standpoint.
It's all white noise.
I got into materials when I was doing furniture design, because that's what differentiates materials, and what can you do with cool carbon fiber or different stainless materials. And so that's what it is in watches. And I like this the Studio Underdog watches. It's looking pretty cool here.
Devin Bain is asking, this is it. This is the end. What's our last meal?
Oh my gosh.
In a vague sense, I'll go really good barbecue. In a specific sense, I will go, there's a really good steak dish from a place we know down here close by called Midway Mercantile. I'm going to call them out. Their steak with the vegetable stack beside it it's superb every time I have it.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. We're in Park City where there's a lot of really nice steak restaurants, and this restaurant just kills them all, in my opinion. But there are a few... there's a barbecue place down there in the same area that is actually run out of a food truck. And so the best barbecue I've ever had in my life. I'd happily have that. It's like last meal food truck. Let's do that. That's fine.
This
Done.
Is a Texan speaking.
This is
here.
me. There it is.
Everyone.
Right. Yep. Mm-hmm.
I've got to have a nice flaky piece of whitefish, usually halibut. I love halibut with the curry sauce or the panko crumbs, a really nice Sauvignon Blanc with jasmine rice. Yeah, that's really good. Or probably Italian food, like all the great Italian foods, carbonara and lasagna and all the great, great Italian stuff. Yeah.
Andrew M is asking, favorite guilty pleasure book or movie. I've said this before, and that is I have a soft spot, because it struck me so much as a kid, for the very terrible movie Condor Man. It's a terrible movie.
Condor Man.
But I have a soft spot for that one. I don't watch it like regularly by any means, but I do really like that. And then you know what? I just showed my son one last night that is not necessarily a great movie, but it's fun every time I watch it. We just watched True Lies.
So
If you've
good.
never seen True Lies, it is a lot of fun, and I definitely recommend it. That's one I'd watch anytime.
Did you tell me they were doing a sequel to that?
They aren't officially. They've
That would
bandied
be
it
one to
about
do a
forever.
sequel to.
Well, here's the
that
thing.
would be good.
Netflix did a show called Fubar, which
Okay.
is kind of a sequel, but not really. It gets really, talking about IP, it gets really close to the idea of as if like 20 years have passed. But
I mean, Arnold's
it's
gonna
not
make
the
an
exact same.
appearance.
Arnold's in it.
Oh, he
Arnold's in it.
is?
It's just
Okay.
the
All
the
right.
characters have been a little bit tweaked. But anyway.
Okay, let's see. Oh man, good questions here. Jeez. I like how everybody's talking about drinks now because
Of course,
you're
yeah.
probably having
Yeah,
drinks
yeah.
while you're watching us. This is
Yeah.
awesome. Or AM says best bourbon summer drink is a paper plane unless he changes his mind. I hope you're having one right now. That's pretty awesome.
Mandy's asking favorite Simpsons character. That's hard.
That's hard.
That's really hard, but it's fun. You know what? I loved Apu. Apu was amazing. Go away, please come back is one of my all-time favorite Simpsons lines. Apu was a great. Now, granted, he's not okay anymore, so they don't have him out anymore. So he was an all-time favorite.
Lisa for all of her observations.
Lisa's amazing, and then
She's
you
amazing.
got to say Ralph. I'm special. I mean, that's just he's just the kid in the corner that just throws out something that nobody's expecting. So I thoroughly enjoy that as well.
Anthony G, Tracks Daily Crush, whiskey, coffee, or water. That is easy. See, whiskey and coffee both use water, so I can get my water intake drinking those. So we'll crush water. We don't need water, right? I mean, well, we need it.
Yeah, I'll have some more water.
Coffee is the daily, and whiskey is track, the special use, and water. Yeah, we don't need water. We got whiskey and coffee.
Let's see. What is a popular hobby that you just think is boring? Look, the low-hanging fruit that we've talked about before is we drive instead of playing golf.
Right.
And golf is just a thing. And then I'm sure it's a thing where you are, but it is a plague in Park City. Everybody's talking pickleball. Now, I will admit I've never played it, but I don't. This sounds weird. It feels cultish. You've got the people that have never played pickleball and are fine with it, and the people that have played once and now they don't want to do anything else. And I got to be honest, that kind of keeps me away. I'm kind of like, that's a little bit scary. I don't know. Everybody that plays pickleball does nothing else ever. I'm sure it's very fun, but that's it feels a little like a cult to me. Yeah.
Oh man, Anthony G, is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Of course, yes, of course it is. Let's see.
Richard is asking, what is the best trait of mine and my wife, Kate, that we're trying to instill in our son, Bodhi? Oh gosh, many of them. I would say patience and a tendency to not overreact. That would be, I mean, because my wife and I are constantly learning both of those things, but just not a lack of instant reaction. And he's 14 going on 15. I mean, he's just a ball of instant reaction. You know what I mean? It's just this constant frenetic reality. But I think that would be something that I hope over time he is able to kind of take the world in and then figure out a response.
Crash Test asks for our favorite on-the-go snack when traveling. Fig Newtons or Strawberry Newtons. I love Fig Newtons. They're my favorite. And what languages do we comprehend or speak? Question from Purdue. I actually took the Rosetta Stone course about 10 years ago because I was going to Italy and I really got into it. And I started to speak it kind of okay. It was like airplane conversation because I met an Italian woman on the airplane and she and I started to speak a little bit and she was encouraging me and I was trying to pronounce and I was consulting my dictionary and it was really fun. I felt like, I kind of was getting there. And then of course I didn't practice it. I didn't keep up with it, but Italian is something that I really like. German is tough. Every time we go, we find new passwords.
Every time. Things that we have 3 words for is one massive word for them. Like lost luggage is what I got to get the photo. Lost luggage is my favorite thing ever. It's
bulky baggage claim.
Oh my gosh. It's unbelievable. Yeah. Really crazy. Very, very good says the quality. He appreciates the quality of our sound imaging. Is it accidental? Honestly, very, very good. There are problems with every single thing we post that I would like to fix. Having said that, nothing in what we post is accidental.
Yes.
Because we work very hard on it. What we actually do is we actually do pan the sound. If the car's coming in on the right side of the screen and leaves left, I want that sound to go out to the left and vice versa. That is something that we do in post. We do chase it. I am in no way claiming that our stuff goes out perfect. Every single time something of ours goes out, I could tell you 10 or 15 things that in a perfect world I would fix them. But I also try to focus on the things we did right. But it's a lot of effort goes in. Thank you for recognizing that. You said you typically put on headphones because you appreciate our sound quality. Thank you, because much work goes into it. Chance helps me mix it, and it's a lot of work. He can tell you, but we work hard at it.
Daniel N. has been getting into Scandinavian home and interior design. Any recommendations of sites or books or inspiration to learn more or buy products that are not IKEA? Yes, I have suggestions. So you can type into any browser Scandi Rustic books. Scandi Rustic is kind of a thing. Actually, my sister is really into Scandi Rustic, and she and her husband have really done a great job with their home. But 2 book companies, publishers actually, that should have some books. I can't verify how many they have, but great titles from one publisher called Assoline, Assoulin, Assoline.com, and also Taschen, great for furniture. Taschen, Taschen, the publisher. They've got some amazing books on furniture collections and interior design. Go browse both of those websites, and I think you'll be inspired.
Andrew M said, is there a European country you haven't hit that you want to do an international road trip film? Andrew, in my perfect world, we do the definitive European road trip film. We start at one end of Europe and we do the whole thing. It's probably not going to happen. But having said that, I really want to drive through Spain. I very much want to drive through Italy. I really want to do Switzerland. Those are the top
watches.
3. Sure.
Watches.
Those are the top 3 in my life that I'd love to drive through. We'll see which ones we get to drive through and we get to do a film about. But of course, I would love to do it and do a cool film. So we'll see if we can.
Let's see. Ooh, Richard's got another question about design.
Okay.
Paul, you get to spend 1 week learning from an artist or designer I admire and respect. Who is it, and what would I want to learn from him? Wow. Richard, with the very deep questions. I haven't even answered your other question about the event, where to what
the
event
time machine one. Yeah,
the time machine event. All right, I'm gonna have to think about that one.
Jason Lynn has a question about Sundance. When it
No,
strikes you, go.
I'll jump in
Jason
here.
Lynn says he lives in Salt Lake City. He's asking if we've ever been to the Sundance Film Festival. Is it worth it for the average movie lover who lives in Salt Lake City? If you live here, absolutely, please come up. I hope that it stays in Park City. We'll see if it does. But here's the thing about Sundance. It's over the top and absurd. It's very expensive to go and all this kind of stuff. But here is the special thing about Sundance. When you go to Sundance and you sit in the crowd and you sit there in a movie that's about to start, you will have an experience. And this happens at some other film festivals, but I've never experienced it more than Sundance. You're sitting there and the vibe of the audience is they so want this movie to be great. Not okay, not I'm just here because I had nothing else to do. They want it to be great. And that is a special moment. I'm a geeky anyway, but going to a movie with a full theater is a fun experience anyway. It's one of the last communal experiences that we have, and I find that really cool. Having said that, you go to the average movie theater with the average crowd, and somebody's on their phone, and that baby's crying, and this person doesn't really want to be here, and that person's having a conversation with their spouse like they're at home, okay? That doesn't happen at Sundance. Everybody's quiet, attentive, listening, and they so want this movie to be great. Some of them aren't, but that movie-going experience is very special. So if you find one that interests you, like the write-up, you're like, that sounds really cool. Go to that movie, even if it's just one. I think you'll enjoy it.
Favorite Thanksgiving food? Mashed potatoes, of course.
Okay. All right.
Let's see. I've got, Richard, your answer for designer. It's 2 people. Patricia Urquiola, I think that's how you pronounce her last name. She is a Starchitect, but she has done a lot of furniture design. And the second person is Jasper Morrison. They both have their own websites, and they've done a lot of different kinds of products and furniture. They're very wide-ranging and very diverse in the kinds of products they have designed, from spaces to products, interiors. They've kind of touched it all, and how you move through a space, and then the objects that you interact with in that space. And that is really interesting to me, to get more of that that interaction. Of course, car design. I mean, I won't say car design because this is a
whatever
non-car podcast, but
whatever.
Giorgetto Giugiaro, I mean, the master, of course. I would love to go back in time and sit over his shoulder and be involved in the conversations about that. And I'm trying to think, Richard, of your event. It would probably Moon landing's up there. That's a really good one.
That's
so
the
good.
world coming together is the part of that intrigues me. That's just
so good.
And everybody just being so jaw dropped that humankind did that. It's beyond countries. It's I don't know. It's a pivotal moment in my mind.
Yes, and it's not a disaster. It's not something that
especially
weighs
if you
heavy on
if you
us
can't do
and-
anything about it. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
don't necessarily want to
yeah.
see a disaster more, but anyway, yeah.
Agreed.
Colin Cutler is asking me my top movies of 2024. They stand out either good or bad. I'm going to go with 3 really good ones that I've seen. Dune 2 is excellent. I'm a huge fan of Denis Villeneuve, the filmmaker. He's an incredible filmmaker. I really like Dune 2. Wolverine, Deadpool, come on. That is the right ridiculous action movie for our time. It spends so much time winking at the audience. I think we've all seen so many superhero movies now that we kind of want to be in on the joke. And Ryan Reynolds kills that role. Hugh Jackman's great as Wolverine. That's really fun. And then I recently I wanted to see it, and I just now got the chance to, and it was awesome. The Wild Robot. If you haven't seen it, it is good for kids. It is great for adults. It's one of those animated movies that plays on multiple levels, and it feels different than Disney Pixar in a good way. It's not a perfect movie, but it is a tearjerker, phenomenal film. So Wild Robot as well.
There's so many.
It's great stuff. I love this.
Existential and
everywhere.
philosophical
It's fantastic
questions.
stuff. Yeah.
This is really good. Tattoos or piercings that everybody doesn't know about? No, I thought about getting a tattoo after my mom passed, but I just realized that her memories were tattooed on my heart, and I didn't need a physical tattoo. So
very nice.
She was always in my heart. So
Daniel asks if I have any plans for another book. I mentioned this at the top of the podcast. So I did this one. Some people have wanted a sequel in this, but as I mentioned before, I could tell you where the story goes. I've got 2 other ideas beyond it, but I want to write a different storyline, a totally different world. So I'm going from here to a sci-fi novel, and then I have an idea beyond that that's nothing like the sci-fi novel. So I'm about 30% into a sci-fi novel that's completely different than Paper Father. So that will be the next one. And then I'll tell you about the one after that once I get the current one finished. And there's the whole audiobook of that one. So, I got nothing but time. It's going to be great. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Aaron G is asking about this big print on the wall behind us. Where can you get it? Aaron G, send us an email. This is actually on a sheet of aluminum that is standing off the wall. So it's not paper. It's printed on aluminum. So it's all color fast. I've been told that the print will last for 250 years. So it's going to be color fast for a long time.
Somebody's going to have it. Yeah,
so
it'll be great. Anthony Goddard, is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Yes. I feel like we get that every year.
We did. I answered that. Yes.
Yes, it is
good.
absolutely a Christmas movie. There is no question. I don't even know why we're talking about it. Also, Devin, who I know is a barbecue guy, said, what is my barbecue preference and why are beef ribs heresy? I agree. Pork ribs for the win. Okay. Absolutely. Yes.
Okay. Let's see. Oh my gosh. Other motor vehicles we enjoy, from Angel Rivera. Other motor vehicles. Boats are kind of cool. Planes are cooler. I'm not a pilot. My dad is a pilot. He was a pilot. Enjoyed going with him. Yeah, I got a friend in town who is a Cirrus aircraft owner, and he's been offering to take me up, and I'd really like to go. We just haven't had time, so need to go.
Let's see. Such good stuff.
Favorite toy growing up? I mean, Hot Wheels, Matchbox.
Sure.
Transformers, G.I. Joe.
G.I. Joe, yep, for sure, yep.
What else? My friend had the aircraft carrier. L.T. Arnold had the aircraft carrier that he got for Christmas. I had the jet.
I had the F-14, and I would swim with it and push it underwater because that was the closest I could get to it flying.
That's so cool.
It was really cool. Yeah,
He had the whole
anyway,
carrier in his room. I was so jealous. Let's see.
Have we thought about using Kickstarter or physical copies of our road trip films for more cinematic pieces? The physical copies we did for a while, as you can see, we did them for a while. It's most of the software that existed to allow you to make Blu-rays at home has not been continued, so that's died. It's made it much harder to actually author these like we authored them ourselves. And the take rate for people wanting physical media has steadily decreased, so it's really hard to justify the effort and the cost to get them made. I hate to say that because I'm a guy that really, really likes Blu-rays, but that is the problem. Kickstarter, we did Kickstarter years and years and years ago, did not go well. we have Patreon, and we greatly appreciate those folks,
Mhm.
and they're all involved on our Discord. So thank you guys for that. That's the best way to support us if you'd like to support us. We don't do Kickstarter beyond that because it hasn't worked for us. So it's not something we've done, but I love doing these big road trip films, and the more people you can encourage to watch them, we would appreciate it.
Daniel N. talking about product design. Yes, I worked for Kawasaki Motors in Irvine, California, and it was all of their products, including watercraft. And I did design work for the Kawasaki Ultra 150, that late 90s to mid 2000s Ultra 150 design. I worked a lot on that. That definitely dominated my time. And what was so crazy is this cool new thing with a roll cage that was like a single seat off-roader. It was an ATV with a roll cage, and then they decided to do a tandem inline design. I worked a lot on those, and those have morphed into all the Razors and Polaris off-roaders that we see now. But it was the very beginning of that I worked on. Nothing, it didn't go anywhere. They were just sketches, but the legal department was trying to come to terms with, oh, people are going to do crazier things with these even more capable vehicles off-road. And so then we go to Moab. Of course, we see them everywhere. And like, I was there. I helped craft the prototype for the originals, the Kawasaki version of that. And of course, now they've got them all. Really crazy to see.
Rich Cracknell, if we had the chance, would we go to low Earth orbit, the moon, or to Mars? Rich, I am a space geek. I would totally do low Earth orbit and possibly Mars. I would go to the space station. Absolutely. I don't want to be there half a year because the spaceship broke. I don't want to do that. I'd like to go up, spend a day or two, come down. That sounds about right to me. Maybe the moon. Mars is right out. That is, people keep talking Mars, like, oh yeah, we're going to move to Mars. No, we are not. Okay. That is an environment you do not want to be in. But I am fascinated by the moon. Pardon me. Space is one of those things I would love to say I did and be done. Like, I'd like to do it once, because I think the experience, because I also think
Be good.
You listen to all the guys that were in the Apollo space program and the way they speak about being in space, or astronauts that have spent time in the space station, it shifts your perspective of being human, having a life, breathing oxygen, being on this earth. It is a total warp of perspective, and I think that would be fantastic.
I'm switching back to Instagram questions. See, Petrolhead 2003 asks if we had to live in a state other than either Utah or a state I've already visited as part of Everyday Driver, which is most of them, which one would it be? That's really tough because we've gone through almost all of the lower 48 states. I think I only have 9 left on my list of all 50 states. I think
have we gotten that
I'm
close?
down to like 8 or 9. I mean, personally, like of all the states that I've ever
That's
been
incredible.
to.
Good for you.
Hit Hawaii, hit Alaska, of course. Colorado, maybe, but I'm definitely a West Coast kind of a guy. Texas, there's elements of Texas that really intrigue me, like Buc-ee's.
It's not Texas that intrigues you. It's just Buc-ee's. That's the thing. You just got to embrace the fact that what you like about Texas is Buc-ee's. I get it. I understand.
They have Circuit of the Americas.
We're okay with it. Yeah,
they have a lot of
Texas
cool
welcomes you.
There.
Yeah,
yeah. Texas could be interesting. Maybe. Yeah, we'll see. Oh.
Devin, I appreciate your concern about compression and streaming. I mean, the thing that most people don't realize when they're watching our films or any others, the truth is, if you have an HD, not 4K, a high definition, which is half the resolution of 4K. I'm going to go geeky for a second.
Yeah,
half the resolution of 4K. You can. It's your white noise. These Blu-rays that are HD have better image quality than 4K you're seeing streaming in most cases, especially on YouTube. I would love to have that kind of quality, but the truth is the streaming platforms don't do it. Vimeo is a little better than YouTube, but how many people do I think it's going to matter for? It's hard to make that quantifiable. So that's one of the things we don't do, but I recognize it. I'm aware. I kind of bite my tongue and move on.
I'm going to have to look up these watches, Freedom Band. Thank you for sending. I know the Glashute, but the Lang one. Meanwhile, you should talk about your favorite plane.
I should talk about my favorite plane.
From Daniel N is asking, Todd, what is your favorite plane?
I mean, look, SR-71's on the list for sure. I love that one. That's amazing. Concorde is up there. Those are 2 of my very favorites of all time. P-51 Mustang has got to be on the list. That plane's amazing. I love that thing.
So cool. But everybody has a P51.
Yeah, everyone's got a P51.
You should get a P47.
Just get a P. Yeah, so that's an inside joke. Sorry.
The one that nobody has.
Yeah, we met somebody once who said that, like, very wealthy, and they said that with a straight face. So we were like, okay,
everybody has P51s.
Everybody's got P51. So we bought a P47
because there's only 11 of them.
Yeah. So anyway, so there's that. No, P51s are fantastic. They're so super expensive, but they're really awesome. The Cirrus aircraft, if you have a personal aircraft, are really, really cool. I'm a big fan of those as well in personal stuff, but I think that's kind of the high points.
Let's see. I'm looking up Glass Shoot Original.
Andrew is asking how to support what we do. The best way to support us is to watch our videos ASAP. Yes, watch them within 48 hours of them hitting a platform, and encourage friends you know that might like them to watch them, especially if it's a road trip films. Just say, hey, to your buddy, I know you like Grand Tour, Top Gear, whatever. I mean, let's be honest, we're striving to be at that level, and I think we get somewhat close. So if you got friends that like that and kind of wonder what's out there, please encourage them to watch it, and encourage them to, here's the thing, encourage them to sit and watch it. Not put it on in the background and kind of pay attention or scroll through things. Like, sit there like they're going to watch a movie, because I know this is not the way we watch YouTube, but that is the way we create our stuff. It's intended for you to sit there with a lovely beverage and watch and do nothing but that for 20 minutes or a half hour or an hour or whatever. So if you have the ability to do that, all of that helps us, and we appreciate it mightily.
Let's talk about watches that cost more than $30,000 a watch.
Must we? We really should. Yes.
The Lang & Son watches are really, I like those. Freedom Van, those are pretty interesting, but I cannot deny the Panamatic Glass Shoot. It really does come because of they've both got superior movements.
Okay.
I think it does come down to the cleanliness of design. I guess I'm all about Glass Shoot is good. They're very clean, but you know what? My leanings are more towards the Lang & Son watches. I think they appeal aesthetically to me more, and I like that 1815 design. I like their style quite a lot. Lang & Son.
Cars of Metal 77 called out the Bell X1 first plane to break the sound barrier. That's a cool plane. I totally 100% agree with that. And that gets us into the X15 and a bunch of other stuff that it was the actual cutting edge at that point. There were so many crazy planes that were barely planes at that point. So many cool things.
Got Hill Air Force Base here that, when stuff comes over the house.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you hear it, it wasn't intended for you.
If you're right, you'll never hear it otherwise. Nope, not going to happen.
Because once they've gone by, it splits the sky open. It's just incredible. So it's cool. We did get to see a few years ago, I saw the F-35s piloted by the female captain. She leads the squadron here. Amazing.
Those are crazy planes.
And she led the four planes that just real slow right over Park City, and I could see it. It was just super cool.
Somehow you merge an F-22 and a Harrier, and you come up with the F-35, which is a ridiculous thing to try to build. Yeah. Anyway, Chuck Yeager, toughest man ever. Yes. I agree with that. Let's see, what else do we have in here? Oh, Richard, you're asking about podcast 2000, buddy. Can we get to 1,000 first? I just, exactly. I thank you, man. But my gosh, I mean, look, will we reach 2,000 in another decade? I can't for the life of me say where we're going to be podcast wise in another decade. I will say this: when we reach podcast 1,000, and there's lots of announcements coming up on that early in next year. When we reach 1,000, we're going to make some small tweaks to the podcast. It will still be the car debate. It will still mostly be about cars, but we're going to make some tweaks, and we're excited about that. But we cannot believe we're at 950 at all. It's absolutely astonishing to me. I was having a conversation with somebody recently. We were telling them what we do. And because I feel like now, much more so than when we started, I feel like everybody has a podcast. There's so many more podcasts than when we started a decade ago. And I mentioned in passing that we had a podcast, and they had this whole demeanor like, that's nice.
Like everyone does.
And I mentioned we were in the reaching podcast episode 950, and their entire headspace changed. Like, wait, what?
Yeah, it takes a while to get
there.
Oh,
you've been serious about this. Yes, we have been.
Mandy Combs asks for the best Chuck Norris joke I've ever heard. I have two. One's a meme. The first is the joke. Chuck Norris can cut a hot knife with butter.
All right, good.
The second one shows Chuck in front of the great Egyptian pyramids, visiting the sand castles he built as a kid. Awesome. I love Chuck Norris jokes.
Oh. Favorite outdoor wildlife? We see them around here. I like elk a lot, but moose are crazy. They are massive.
Yeah.
And they have this fantastic demeanor, which is I feel like is very unique among wildlife. They aren't aggressive, but they also don't care.
Yeah.
They just have this. It's almost like the elephant mentality. You don't want to mess with them. They're not naturally aggressive, but you don't want to make them angry because they will hurt you. So they just have this, I'm eating here. I'm going to stand here in the trail where you would like to bike, and I'm going to eat. And when I'm done, you can pass. I just don't care.
Yeah.
Which is kind of fascinating to come up against because they're huge.
My dad is watching, and he'll know this story. He and I and my sister went on a really cool up close canoe trip with a guide, and we were in the canoe and watching black bears on the shore bring salmon out of the river and tear into them. And we're 20 feet from these Alaskan black bears. Of course, yes, in Alaska, and watching them rip into the fish. And we're just far enough, and we can get away if we need to, if they jump in and start to come after the humans. But it was also a fishing trip. And so we had the freshest salmon because the guide brought a hibachi.
Oh, wow.
And he grilled them right there. And so we were having fresh salmon, and the bears were having fresh salmon. And
fresh salmon for everybody. I like it.
It was good, so crazy. It was cool.
Cars of Metal says he's never seen me and Hugo Weaving in the same room. I will take that as a compliment. I will absolutely take that as a compliment. He's a phenomenal actor. I love his voice work. He's really great. He's in
Slow Horses.
I've been getting Slow Horses. That's a surprising show that most people don't realize.
My sister got me into that.
Yeah, it's a really good show, and he's in the latest season of Slow Horses.
I was wondering, like, that guy looks familiar. Absolutely. I've seen him somewhere. And I was like,
yeah.
Crazy.
Mr. Anderson.
It's like, if he had said that, they have to work that in there somehow.
You would think they would, but he's such a good actor, and he's been in Lord of the Rings and Matrix.
The whole series is superb.
Yeah, it's really good. If you haven't seen that, that's actually based on we're back to writing. It's based on a series of unloved novels. This guy is a published author that wrote a bunch of Slow Horses novels. It's one of those things where I say unloved. He's been successful as an author, and he's written a bunch of these books, but they never really caught fire. They had an audience, but they never really caught fire because they're the anti-James Bond books from a British author. And now they have this Apple series where you have to kind of be concerned about Gary Oldman. I mean, Gary Oldman played Commissioner Gordon.
Yes.
Here's what you need to do. If you're going to watch Slow Horses on Apple TV, you want to see, you get a picture of Gary Oldman from the Christopher Nolan Batman movies, and then jump immediately to watch him in Slow Horses, and you'll think he's about to die. He is so disheveled and overweight and awful looking, and he nails this part. It is the exact anti-James Bond. But this TV series has made the novels a whole other level of successful, and I love to hear that. So that's really cool.
He was also in what was the Bruce Willis movie? Lulu Dallas Multipass?
Oh, yeah, of course. Fifth Element.
Fifth Element.
Fifth Element is an unsung movie. Well, of course. That's
Luc Besson.
A long time ago. Yeah. Yep,
he had some crazy movies.
He did, yes.
Best coffee brand and blend. I'm currently into Lavazza Super Crema. You can get it on Amazon.
Sure. It's a bunch of words I've never heard strung together.
I did discover Lavazza because they have a coffee shop inside the Palazzo in Vegas. And there's also Illy, and I like Illy a lot, but Lavazza's pretty darn good. I have to have the medium roast because my machine that I got in January only takes medium roast, and you can actually void the warranty if you get too dark of a roast because the oil from the beans will clog up the grinder and void your warranty. The ceramic bits in there won't. Anyway, so
there's problems I've never ever heard of, which is amazing.
I have to be careful about the roast color of my bean blend.
This entire conversation is something I have never worried about or heard of until right now. So that's kind of amazing.
Who knew?
All right.
Who knew?
Mandy is asking if we had to watch a show or film with a poor director with great acting, or something with a great director but mediocre acting, what we pick. Actually, I think great performances can overcome a bad director in most cases. One of the rare exceptions, but you'll see proof of it, is the Star Wars movies. George Lucas, big idea guy, created a good universe. Watch his stuff. He likes the acting style of the 20s and 30s, which feels really stilted and awful today. So watch the first Star Wars movie, the original 1977 Star Wars movie. He's clearly giving direction to everybody. And Alec Guinness and Harrison Ford just don't care. They do their own thing, and they do the best work in the film. Okay. And you jump to when he did the first movie of the second trilogy, if you will. And you have Ewan McGregor, Natalie Portman, and Liam Neeson Nobody's arguing that these are bad actors, and they do some of their worst work ever because he's directing them and trying to get them to act stilted. And so when they step out on their own, they do their best works. I do think that really good acting can elevate. You can have the best director in the world, but if an actor gives a line and it feels fake, there's little coming back from that, unfortunately.
Anthony Zerg says, Paul is the Bachelor About Town. Which of my fleet attracts more attention from the ladies? I can't decide if it's my Rossignol skis or my pivot bike. I would like to think it's the bike, when you roll up and you've, done some cool jumps and you're, rocking it.
Right. That's our typical
you're
Tuesday.
Rocking a pivot.
Yes.
Sweet.
You do have a very cool bike. I will say that the pivot bike is
cool.
very, very
See,
nice.
I'm hoping the ladies would like my pivot bike and notice the pivot.
Good Lord. Thoughts on Sharknado? I think Sharknado is a perfect. I could teach a course on Sharknado. Sharknado is the perfect example of why Hollywood is stupid and why it's awesome. Yes. It is both. The fact that there are sequels to Sharknado, this is what happens. You have a stupid idea. You get some D-level actors that used to be famous. It catches fire for its absurdity. And then what do you think? Not, well, that was lightning in a bottle. We got a lot of money. That's nice. No, we should do 6 more. The first one was bad. So how they don't get better. Okay. When you do this many sequels on a bad idea, it just keeps getting worse. I actually know a producer who did a movie called Sand Sharks because they saw the success of Sharknado.
That sounds bad.
They did a movie called Sand Sharks, which is exactly what you think it is. Somehow sharks are traveling through sand and jumping up and killing people. I don't understand it either, but that was at least successful enough to make its money back. Part of
the plot of the other guys. Mark Wahlberg.
Will
Ferrell. They talk about that.
Sand sharks. Mm-hmm. What would be the syllabus in the Fast and Furious? Devin, you're killing it. I love it. That would be an easy course to teach. It would be a very easy course to teach because you have the first movie, which is at most it's a cop entrapment movie. That's what it is at best. If you give it like its best version, just set in the world of cars. So is the second one, but worse. The third one is essentially just a cultural appropriation movie. Let's show you why drifting is cool because you don't even have the original people in it. Then the fourth one, somebody goes, what if we brought back the original cast and made it a heist movie? And now we're into like Die Hard on Wheels. There's a fantastic progression there. I could totally teach that course.
Call it that.
I could
Die Hard on Wheels.
I could teach that course. Absolutely. Yep.
Let's see. Trying not to miss stuff. People are telling jokes on the live stream.
I love it. It's
awesome.
fantastic. It's great stuff.
Great.
It's great stuff. So here's a question that gets personal, and I don't know if you're going to be like, I thought so, or no, I don't think so. And it references to a question I saw earlier. Somebody said earlier, and I think they actually removed the question, but I did see it. They said, Todd, I was watching an old episode, and wow, aging's been a problem, hasn't it? Yes, it has. Yes, this is what I'm working with. It wasn't great to begin with. I had terrible skin in college when I was supposed to be at my best, and it just hasn't progressed. I am aging for both me and my wife. I have said this for years. She is timeless, and I am aging for both of us. So there's that question. But you also asked, how old are we? It's never really been discussed. We don't hide it, but it's also not something we discuss a lot. We're both 51. So that's right now. I can tell you right now, you're either going, wow, they're 51, or ooh, that's not good for 51. Depending on your take, that's the answer.
Age ain't nothing but a number.
Yep,
it's all in your head. Here's a question: how old do we act? But there's your actual age, and then there's hopefully how old you act, which is.
But here's the problem: I know plenty of guys in their 60s that act like they're 18 or 20, and I'm like, stop it.
That's true.
Stop it. Put the vape down.
They drive
and
like
grow
that.
up.
True.
Okay, true. I've met that guy, and then you meet the other. I was this person. I was 17 and acted like I was 30, for better and for worse. That's just how it's always been. Yeah.
Oh man.
Greg Evans, what authors inspire me? I love Stephen King. I love Stephen King because he keeps with the exception of a couple of things, he keeps writing new stuff. He doesn't just do a series of books. I mean, I love his Gunslinger series, and that was very inspirational for me as a young person learning to write. I've read his On Writing book, but I like the variety of kinds of things he's written. A lot of people just think of him as a horror writer, but he does some of the best work of making normal people, unremarkable people, the heroes of his books. And when you read stuff like a Jack Reacher novel, and I'm not trying to pick on it, but it's the reality, he's a superhero. in spite of the fact he's not. And he does the exact opposite. I really like that. There are writers that crank out stuff at a constant level, and I just think, wow, I got to get after it. Just so many times I'm just like, wow, he wrote that too, huh? So that's the thing that keeps me working on it. So anyway.
Ooh. KASM Stamps asked if we invest or speculate. KASM does both, but more investing. I am more of an investor too. Yes. I haven't been lately, but I've been looking at a few things. And yeah, I'm definitely more of an investor. Yep. Yep. Are either of us motorcycle riders at all? Joseph Fisher. Used to be. When I had my my Kawasaki design days, I would check out some bikes from the press fleet because I could, and I just decided it's not if but when something was going to happen, and so I traded 2 motorcycle helmets for a nasty couch, and then I had a nasty couch, and it served me well.
You too could have a nasty couch. All it takes is one motorcycle
for a little while until I could afford a different couch. But you know what? Yeah, I've just been into cars ever since. And I have to admit, cars were always my thing. From the time I was 2, it was always cars.
Daniel is asking if we're Marvel fans. Look, I'm movie fans in general. Marvel completely revolutionized, for better and for worse, how movies have been made in the last 10 or 15 years. I think the first decade of Marvel, up until they got to Avengers Endgame, I think that is a good series, but I really think, and they were never going to do it because they were making money, they should have stopped. Okay. Since then, what you're having now is major characters have died. The people that people love have gone away. Now you're trying to, I hate to say it, but kind of troll for characters we haven't really heard of and build them up. They're struggling.
Sorry, what movie were we talking about?
Marvel, the Marvel universe. Okay.
Just sorry, I was reading.
Yeah, I know you've zoned out. It's fine.
I was zoning out.
It's fine.
I mean, Marvel's cool. I love Marvel.
So I really liked it up to Endgame. I didn't like all those movies, but in general, that kind of series, they should have just gone out on a high and been like, we've done a revolutionary thing in the history of film and we should stop now. Now you see a new Marvel movie come up and you go, do I care? And sometimes maybe, but in general, I think the audience does too. They're like, I don't know. So anyway, we'll see where they go from there.
Holy moly, we are already well past
Paul's debut
hour.
spoken word album is called Nasty Couch. Years ago, our friend Nathan actually made a mock album cover for Paul's first album. We should resurrect that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Are there Reacher movies? There are not. There's a Reacher TV series that's actually doing okay. Now, there was a Reacher, 2 or 3 Reacher movies starring Tom Cruise, who is the exact opposite of the description of the guy in the novel, which is why Alan Richson, the behemoth guy, that he is perfect because he exactly matches the thing there. So there's been a successful series on Amazon. Yeah. Anyway, who is our favorite Avenger?
Batman.
Good night, everybody. Good night, everybody.
Just kidding. Just kidding. It's funny. It's funny.
That's very funny. I do like that very much.
Iron Man, of course.
Iron Man's awesome. And here's the thing. I will say this. Captain America, late in the series.
Okay.
Captain America, when he's super Boy Scout, it's like, have some reality in the world. When he gets a little later in the series, I think he's really awesome.
As both of us have changed over the years, is there a car segment we have felt we appreciate more or focus on more compared to our earlier days of reviews? Say off-roading. Say doing more 4x4ing and off-roading. I appreciate it more. It wasn't something I ever really was into, but with the availability of Moab nearby, not terrible.
Freedom Van. Hey, Todd. Doug DeMuro will probably sell you his Cayenne when he's done with the series. I have 2, and I am doing just fine. Thank you very much. We've got some cool stuff coming up with the Ruba Cayenne.
Well,
I can't wait to share it with you.
Could have
really. Please stop.
Cody's going to start.
Please stop.
Driving.
Daniel is asking for a list of movies that you must see. Daniel, how much time do you have? I have a list. Here's a question I love asking people, and I'm not going to run this down too far, but this question I love asking people: your top 3 or 5 movies you've ever seen, because I feel like you can really find out what resonates with a person when you find out their top 5 movies. And when I say that, I'm a movie geek. I don't mean the top 5 movies a movie person really ought to see. I mean top 5 movies that if one of your friends said, I've never seen that, you'd be like, we're watching it right now. I love it so much. I find top 5 movie lists to be great. I could go on and on. I have a list on my phone. My son was just adding to it of movies I want to make sure we see together. There are so very many, but I'm going to give you a couple. If you've never seen Unforgiven, it is a phenomenal Western you should see. If you've never seen Lawrence of Arabia, that is the pinnacle of old movie making. It is shot in Panavision, super widescreen. They actually did everything you see in the movie. People were out in the middle of the desert with hundreds of people on camels having an actual fight. This is what inspired Steven Spielberg's
Is that
creation.
the start of a joke?
No, it totally sounds like it.
Sorry.
No, but it's what inspired Steven Spielberg's set building and the way he built the sequences of Indiana Jones comes from Lawrence of Arabia. Now, it is a 4-hour movie. It has a pacing where if you made it now, the movie'd be like 80 minutes long. And they did it for 4 hours. It has 1960s pacing. But if you want to see how big movies used to be, Lawrence of Arabia is a must-see.
Speaking of investing, Cade Kuda is asking if I'm an investor in Bitcoin, and I am not. I have a friend who is, and he
can open worms everywhere. Sorry, what?
He's so into it.
Mm-hmm.
He has a Cybertruck wrapped in Bitcoin orange. He even got the brake calipers coated Bitcoin orange. So it's he's really into it, and I have not jumped on that bandwagon yet. I'm not sure if I'm going to, but we'll see. I'm more of a traditional stock market investor, but yeah, there's a lot of tech that I'm into, energy. I like a lot of things.
I'm going to stay out of the Bitcoin discussion. I mean,
his truck, you can't miss his truck.
I have
Cybertruck.
I always know when I see
Bitcoin
it.
orange.
Yes.
Yeah, that's he.
Quiet Man, Pulp Fiction, and Pan's Labyrinth. Those are 3 great movies. Pan's Labyrinth is creepy and awesome. Guillermo del Toro killing it with that movie. That is such good filmmaking. And actually, that was a New Line movie that I worked on. That was late in my New Line opportunity. And I was very, very proud to work on that. Children of Men is another good one if you're talking about somebody's bringing up Clive Owen movies. That's another really good one, too.
I'm a 928 investor.
You are. That is where your money goes. Not into Bitcoin,
investments
into
you can
928.
possibly do.
All of the time, yes.
Yeah, that's a bad one. That's a bad one. Well, should we wrap things up? I'm like I said, I'm scrolling back through as
There's
we're
so much good stuff. You guys, this is always fun. I actually really enjoy the All Question No Cars podcast. We couldn't do it every time, obviously, because we'd run out of topics. But you guys like get pent up about questions you want to ask. It's so awesome. It gets us off on all kinds of things.
Yeah,
it's great.
For sure. Let's see.
Really love it.
Eugene Wang asks me, what is my go-to daily sipper? As of late, Eugene personally finds Angel's Envy Single Barrel in Sturgis, South Dakota. And it's amazing. And I still have not had it. Let's see. I discovered Garrison Brothers, a Texas whiskey, thanks to Monica and Nugget, who brought it to one of our meetups recently. And it was really good. We're all sort of looking at each other like, yeah, this is great. Good stuff. It's not the daily sipper. I'm still into, the single malts, Aberlour, and the Japanese whiskeys are still good, but that's cool. I'm glad you found that. I haven't been into it all summer long. We've been traveling and it's just been hot weather, but the snow's starting to fly.
In the this is how I know this needs to end. In the chat right now, my wife is asking questions about Doug DeMuro's Cayenne in case we want to buy it. So good night, everybody. That really is probably the place we need to end it. So that's really good.
Awesome.
No, thanks to my lovely wife for watching and putting up with me in general. That's pretty awesome. There will be more of these. We will continue with the lives at every 25. So that means 975 is coming. 1,000, I promise you, is going to be epic. We are working on that. I wish I could tell you more, but I want to hold it close to the vest till we get a little closer, but it's going to be really awesome. Thank you guys so much for being a part of what we do. I know we say it over and over, but it does help. Please rate the podcast and share it with a friend. Please share our YouTube videos with friends. As a reminder, we have 2 YouTube channels. The other one than this one is our original Everyday Driver channel. We're putting out stuff on our own cars, big road trips, big multi-car comparisons with a TV quality. That's about every 3 weeks right now because of the combination of Hooked on Driving and Everyday Driver. So about every 3 weeks on that channel. We've got stuff lined up already that we got shot this year that we can't wait to come out. Oh, Christmas Day, we have a new road trip coming out.
That's right.
That we did with the Griots boys.
Yes.
It's going to be so much fun. Plan on that Christmas Day. Thanksgiving Day is coming up. We have a cool 2-car comparison. The MX-5 and the Z4 comes out Thanksgiving Day.
We don't have a tool comparison.
We don't have a tool comparison. Yes.
Right.
So anyway, so that's coming up, but there's lots of stuff. And then our test drive channel, Test Drive Videos, where you are right now, is roughly every Sunday. There is a new piece that drops there. Podcast is still twice a week. You guys interacting with it is what helps other people find it. And thank you for your comments and your support. If you want to be a part of it further, yes, Patreon is a great place for you to support us. You can get, if you're at the upper levels, you get to hang out with us once a month. And then, of course, there's the Discord, and so many great people on the Discord. It's just a community way beyond you and I love it.
Yeah,
It's
it is really
awesome.
cool.
Yeah.
For those of you who've joined the live stream, we really appreciate it. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your support. And as Todd said, yes, please rate and review and share the podcast. And for those of you who have not seen the live stream but are listening to this as the regular audio, thank you for being fans of what we do. Thank you for the support. We can't believe it's 9:50 either.
We really can't.
And we're excited for a great future. So
yeah,
really appreciate it, guys. Looking forward to next time as always. Cheers, everyone.